obviously a lot of people know you as the guitar player for Dillinger in Suicidal Tendencies. You do a lot of film scoring, right? You have your hands in a lot of different things. And we'll link to that all. You also put out a phenomenal course helping musicians kind of maintain their integrity while kind of trying to move through this business. With all of that said, what if you had to break it down to maybe like an equipment and a gear gear place, right? Because a lot of people that obviously, are familiar with your work are in a very technical, very gear driven space of music. Do you think, and I know it's a tough task, that you can narrow it down to maybe, one piece of gear that's your favorite?
That is a tough task because I spend more time kind of doing home studio production now.
Yeah.
And so as you guys know, that's kind of you make do with what you have. And you slowly add things that become really exciting, but it's kind of the whole thing that creates. It's like the combination. No one of these things would allow you to do this, but well, for one thing, not to be promoting, but my signature guitar is something that I created and I truly love. I truly love this. And I was never a gear person. Like I said, I was not the guitar guy who sat around playing guitar. I was just going to shows and trying to get people to book us and calling Steve Evans to see if we can get in there. That's what I was doing. And I just never cared about gear. And then when it was time to create this guitar, I was like, okay, what kind of I'm not creating guitar based on the guitars I grew up on or, whatever. I'm going to create the guitar that I know would work great for me based on my 20 years or whatever at the time, 12 years, whatever, of experience on the road, making real music that is challenging both in the studio and is challenging live. And so creating that guitar, which really just is, I just feel it's such a satisfying piece of equipment that lends itself to every situation I need. And it's cool because a lot of people have said the same, even people who don't know Dillinger or are not Dillinger fans, that the guitar is really an amazing, important piece in their studio and their setup and everything, including Jordan Buckley recently used it. And he was just like, this is the best guitar I ever got, blah, blah. And I was like, that's really nice because this guy has played a lot of guitars, But that is something that both studio, both live, I'm just really proud of. And I thoroughly enjoy because it's created for exactly what I need. Anything from the volume knobs not in the way, so I can or the Evertune that keeps it in tune. And,
I'm looking at it. The toggle switch is on the bottom, right? Not on the top. Yeah.
Right. So there's different things. And then in the studio, my studio gear, I have that I actually got for a Dillinger record. We did Miss Machine with Evitz in a place. And that didn't really have much gear. We did it basically at a rehearsal space, and he brought some stuff, and I went out and purchased a Universal Audio 6176 compressor preamp combo. So we had some one really good thing that we could use, and I've had it ever since. And so that was always the tube, the analog piece that I could put vocals through or whatever that gave me some of that. The analog vibes that you miss from being in the box, and slowly I'm adding on that. But that's something that's been universally and historically useful from making Miss Machine to work on something today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
dude, it's a great piece. What a classic combo for sure.
Yeah,
and a lot of people. It's that's why I think it's always interesting too. Is the gear conversation. Everybody's at a different place, has a different relationship, with it, how invested they are. But, and a lot of people are like, well, I'm starting a home studio, or I want to, what would you recommend? What would people recommend as the great piece? And I think that's a great way to approach it. Is just what piece do you want that's gets that great analog sound, and in this case has that 1-2 combination. You don't have to outfit an entire rack of gear right off the bat. Just get one thing that's going to help you take care of a vocal really nicely and give you some color, that you enjoy. And that's awesome.
Totally.
And it happened and came out of the process of making another record. So look at that. I love that.
Cool.
Ben, that's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, everybody should definitely check out that ESP signature that you did. I'm pretty sure actually we used that on a record that we did with Evitz at some
You
point.
probably did.
Truthfully, and that was actually maybe our first foray into the Evertune system as well, which is pretty wild. Which, if anybody's not familiar with it, look into it, because the tech and the way that thing works, it is, you pick it up and you can, if it's engaged, you can. It doesn't matter how hard you bend a string, it messes with your mind as a guitar player for sure.
Yeah, it's very genius.
I think they just released a bass one too this year at NAMM.
Oh, it finally got out? It just come out?
Yeah.
Oh, thank.
It's been the legend. We've been joking about that with Steve for quite some time.
I know. I also I've been trying. I would love for them to do one for drums too.
Oh.
Like lug nuts that all have that technology in it, so like the tension of the head stays in tune no matter what. Because
I think there's a company that is like kind of doing that. I'll have to look it up. I remember seeing it. It was like
interesting.
That would be wild,
right?
Absolutely wild.
Yeah, like there's like a drum that's in tune,
right? Well, and also just like with the strings, as the strings stretch out, like the tension recalibrates. The same thing with the drum head,
right?
So cool.
Yeah. That would be interesting. But I love it. And it's a beautiful looking guitar, dude. Ben, we thank you again. Thanks for sharing your gear candy with us here.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Of course.